Okay, so after writing the historical background of the study, which serve as your second paragraph, we are now be dealing with the third paragraph. Okay, class. So notice the words that are highlighted in pink. Okay, so the words that are highlighted in pink, we have bacterial species, we have antibacterial activities, we have bacterial pathogens, pathogenic bacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Staphylococcus aureus, and Escherichia coli. Okay, so what do they have in common? What do these words have in common? What are they referring to? Okay, so actually, class, the words that are highlighted in pink actually discusses our dependent variables or the DV. Okay, so now let's try to notice the words highlighted in blue. Okay, let's focus on the words highlighted in blue. We have D. philippinensis. So D. philippinensis is actually Catmon. Okay, that's the common name. Silonga is actually turmeric. And we have here the antibacterial capabilities of Catmon and turmeric leaves. Okay, class. So from these words alone, okay, we can infer that the words highlighted in blue are actually, let's say, the discussion regarding the independent variables. Okay, so given this idea, class, what can we say about the third paragraph? Okay, so the third paragraph, the background of the study, actually discusses the study's variable relationships. Okay, we discuss how the dependent variable and the independent variable are related to one another. What is the relationship between the IV and the DV? Okay, so now let's try to discuss the guidelines on how to write the third paragraph. Okay, so we have here the example. Let's focus with the first part of the third paragraph. Okay, so this is the first part. So the first part is actually the build up of the third paragraph. It is known as the build up of the third paragraph. And notice how it hinted the dependent variables. Okay, so we have the umbrella term bacterial species. Okay, we also have the umbrella term bacterial pathogens or the pathogenic bacteria. Okay, so these class, they are actually known as the umbrella terms. Okay, they are the umbrella terms for what? Umbrella terms for the dependent variable. So class, when we say umbrella term, okay, these are the terms that are not specified. And when the terms are not specified, it means that the terms pertain to a general idea. So therefore, these terms that are highlighted in pink in the first part of the third paragraph presents the general idea that pertain to our dependent variable. Okay? So it just hinted. Okay, the umbrella terms just hinted, or let's say it gave clues, okay, regarding the dependent variable, but it did not explicitly discuss what are those dependent variables that are present in our study. However, class, let's take a look with the words highlighted in blue. Okay, so the words highlighted in blue, we have Delienia philippinensis and Curcuma longa. Okay, so these are scientific names for Catmon and turmeric respectively. And these are actually the independent variables. Okay, so can we say that the first part of the third paragraph already revealed the IV? Okay, did the first paragraph revealed what are our, let's say, independent variables? Okay, obviously the answer is yes. Okay, it already revealed the independent variables. However, on the contrary, the first part do not reveal the dependent variable. Instead, the dependent variable are just masked under umbrella terms. Okay, furthermore, let's take a look with this part. Okay, so let's take a look at this part. They exhibited antibacterial activities. Okay? And also has the potential, let's say, to kill the, let's say, potential to exhibit antibacterial activities. Okay? So Dillenia philippinensis exhibited antibacterial activities, and Curcuma longa also has the potential to exhibit antibacterial activities. So what can we infer from these phrases? Okay. Did we introduce the capability of the IV? Okay. Obviously, class, the answer is yes. We introduce the capability of the independent variable, okay, their potential to affect the dependent variable. Okay? So, again, let's try to enumerate what we have inferred here. First, we inferred that the dependent variable are not revealed. Okay? Instead, they are masked under umbrella terms. Second, the independent variable are revealed. Furthermore, the first part revealed how the independent variable can affect the dependent variable. Okay? So, it reveals the potential of the independent variable to affect the dependent variable. Okay? Therefore, class, the first part of the third paragraph is actually to introduce the independent variables and their potential to affect the dependent variable. Okay? You must highlight, okay, the important role. What is the important role of the IV to have effect on the DV? Okay? And also, you must cite supporting statements that can say that the IV can potentially affect the DV. Okay? So that is the first part. And take note again, the DV is not yet revealed. It is masked under umbrella terms. Okay? So that will be our first guideline. So let's proceed with the next guideline. Okay, so let's focus on the encircled sentence. So we have here, pathogenic bacteria cause severe and often fatal diseases in living things, according to Williams et al. 2017. Okay, so what can you say about the encircled sentence? So notice its placement between the, let's say, the first sentence and the sentence after it. Okay, so did it connect the first statement to the preceding statement? Okay, so obviously class, this encircled statement we have connected the first statement to the succeeding one. Okay, there is a transition from one topic to another. Okay, notice how, let's say, we transition from the discussion of the IV to the discussion of the different pathogenic bacteria. Therefore, class, our guideline after introducing the IV, you must use a transitional sentence to introduce the DV. Okay? So notice, we have here an umbrella term again. However, this umbrella term served as a transitional sentence for us to introduce or reveal our dependent variable. Okay? So that is how you can reveal the dependent variable. You must use transitional sentence to introduce the DV. Okay? So now, let's try to take a look with the next example to reveal our next guideline. So take a look with the parts inside the pink box. Okay? So after the dependent variables were introduced using this transitional sentence, notice how the dependent variables are discussed one by one. Okay? So the DV are being discussed. And what are those dependent variables that are being discussed? So we try to discuss Pseudomonas aeruginosa, we try to discuss Staphylococcus aureus, and we also try to discuss the Escherichia coli. Okay? And Try to analyze the discussion regarding such dependent variable. Okay? What should be discussed about the dependent variable? Are the discussion positive or negative? Okay. So obviously class, the dependent variables were discussed negatively. Okay? The dependent variables were discussed negatively, meaning to say we discussed why and how the dependent variable caused such problems. That's why we discuss it negatively. We discuss the dependent variable negatively to reveal the problems. Okay? And the discussion of these problems regarding the dependent variable will establish why is it essential that the independent variable must have an effect on the dependent variable. And that will be our third guideline. You must discuss the issues or the problems related to the dependent variables so that you can emphasize the importance of the effect of the IV. Okay, so that is our third guideline. Okay, so now let's try to proceed with the next guideline. Okay, so the next guideline actually consists of a single sentence. Okay, this is actually the last part of our third paragraph. So let's try to read. Given the antibacterial capabilities of cotton leaves and turmeric leaves, the researcher will study the potential of these plants in attenuating these three common pathogenic bacteria as listed in the study of Mansfield et al. And Harriman of 2019. Okay, so these three commonly occurring pathogenic bacteria are actually our dependent variable: the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Escherichia coli, and Staphylococcus aureus. Now, if you analyze the last part, what can you say about it? Did the last part justified that the IV can potentially affect the DV? Is there a justification that the independent variable can have an effect on the dependent variable? Okay, so yes. So meaning to say, in this part, we tried to reveal the relationship between the variables. Okay, we tried to reveal the relationship between the IV and the DV. Therefore, class, in the last part of our third paragraph, we must discuss the relevance of the independent variables in affecting the dependent variables. And this relevance actually pertains to the relationship between these two variables. So in short class, this last part will serve as the conclusion of the last paragraph. Okay, so that will be our fourth guideline. And finally, of course, your third paragraph is not complete, or let's say it is not valid if it has no citations. So you must indicate citations in your third paragraph. Okay, and that concludes class the discussion regarding on how you can write the third paragraph of your background of the study.